It's one of the best days of the offseason, so we're wearing our best. That's right. Flu World Order, Zack Baun, Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, Darius Slay. Will they be back with the Eagles in 2025? We talk about it next with Fran Duffy and Zach Berman in studio. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles podcast on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon. Bo Wulf, Fran Duffy, Zach Berman here for one of the tentpole shows of the offseason. Fran Duffy debut in Flu World Order, which we will get to.
So this is where the big boys play.
We're talking. Now we're talking. And it's a little bit, it's a little bit melancholy. I feel like the Eagles just won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We want to celebrate that. But free agency starts in like a week. We got to get ahead of this bad boy. We got to go on the record, Zach. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Excited for the show. Looking forward to it.
Do you feel that that tension between wanting to give all the flowers to the team that just won the Super Bowl? We spent so many months dissecting everything about them versus, well, there's like a lot of work to do.
100%. We always kind of mock Howie for saying we're 6 weeks behind everyone else. But you kind of feel like that the combine just sneaks up on you and free agency sneaks up on you, that usually you have a chance to catch your breath, to kind of review the draft, review free agency, and now we just get right into it.
There we go.
So we're bidding these guys farewell. They're still nursing their hangover, right?
That's right. As are you. I'm
not nursing a hangover. I'm trying to. I hope I'm on the 2-minute warning of a cold and not the first quarter of a cold. You never know, right? You're always afraid it's going to get worse.
You can hear a little bit of a nasally tinge.
But I'm excited for the show. I have all my notes.
Okay. Well, before we get into it, quick some coaching front news for the Eagles. Why don't you unpack that for us, back?
Well, I saw Nick Underhill from NewOrleans.football report this. You might have more information, but TJ Pagnetti, the assistant offensive line coach, run game coordinator as well, assistant run game coordinator.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Run game specialist. I think.
He will be following Kellen Moore to New Orleans. So presumably with the promotion, because you can't have lateral moves unless his contract was up. Nick Sirianni has said in the past he frowns upon poaching the staff. So you imagine it's a promotion of some variety. We'll see what it is. Do you have more information?
My understanding is he'll be a run game coordinator in New Orleans.
Okay.
Which is a bump. But I don't know if there was because he replaced Roy Istvan as the assistant offensive line coach. Who knows what the timetable was? But you're talking about. There's the 4 players on the roster, right, who were part of both Super Bowl teams. There were only 2 coaches who were both part of both Super Bowl teams, Jeff Stoutland and TJ Pagnetti.
Yeah, Joe Panunzio just missed it. And Jeremiah Washburn just missed it as well.
Yes.
So, but then also in coaching news, Scott Tolzien is going there as the quarterbacks coach to New Orleans. And so why is this relevant? Scott Tolzien is someone who has a background with Kellen Moore and Doug Nussmeier. So you would assume that this is kind of setting up the staff for Nussmeier.
Yeah, I mean, would you agree that as a coach, it feels like New Orleans is a pretty good place to land? I guess you're not going to be spending that much time not outside the office, but for your family at least, New Orleans is pretty good.
Look, if my son was the starting quarterback at LSU and I had the chance to be the offensive coordinator for the New Orleans Saints, that seems like an awesome opportunity. Also, this isn't always the case, but if you latch on with a new coach, there's usually, unless you're really bad, like your unit, there's usually a little bit of leeway.
Right.
New Orleans is a very patient franchise too. Yes. I feel like I
Sure.
think I missed the conversation that we had talking about, or that you guys had about coaching vacancies. I feel like New Orleans was very underrated in terms of that vacancy and how it was viewed league-wide.
Really?
Yeah.
How so?
Just because I feel like that ownership is very patient. I think people look at it as like, oh, it's McKee Lewis' show. Like I think he's not hands off isn't the word, but I think that they've shown like they're willing to stick it through with coaches, and I think that was a little bit underrated.
Bad roster, no quarterback. Now this is the thing. The
Bad division.
The cap situation is brought up a lot. I think the Eagles have shown if you're willing to take it on the chin for 1 year, you can rescue your cap. You just have to be willing to take it on the chin for 1 year. That's what the Eagles did in 2021.
Yep.
They're like, we're going to take these cap hits now, or they're not going to sign guys, and they'll clean the cap up for the following year, and it worked. You just have to be willing to do that.
And you have to draft better.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's if you have confidence in yourself to be able to turn things around, it's a great place to be.
Yep.
If you're more about like the quality of this roster and that, then you would be worried about it.
Yeah.
But the most important question is, how are the facilities? Have you been to those facilities in Metairie?
No.
Yeah. Not my favorite facility I've ever been to.
Okay. What's your favorite facility?
Well, I haven't been to the Star. I want to hear what Fran says. I hear the Star is incredible.
The Star is nice. We didn't get to go to the Star at the Shrine Bowl this year because Jerry Jones decided that having a tennis event at the Star was more important than the Shrine Bowl. So the Shrine Bowl practices got moved to North Texas University. It's like a 45-minute drive.
But you've been there for
I've been to the Star.
O-line
So
masterminds.
I've been to the Star. It's nice.
Okay.
It's a little too, I don't know what the word is, but it kind of hits you over the face with everything Cowboys related, but that would be expected.
So my favorite one I've been to is the Seattle Seahawks. It's amazing. Right on the water. Beautiful facility. I'm eager to see the Bowl. The Bowl is the Los Angeles Chargers' new facility. And I hear this thing is like state of the art. It's charged up, state of the art. So perhaps the next time I'm in El Segundo, I will visit the Bowl.
I was listening to Chip Kelly's opening presser with the Las Vegas Raiders, and he was saying how the Raiders facility, best, it has to be the best in the country.
In Chip's eyes,
it's so wonderful that the two of you found each other. The two people pouring over every press conference around.
In Chip's eyes, if there's an indoor facility that has 100 yards, he's happy with it.
Yeah.
It was the bane of his existence.
You guys should like make an event out of that. Like just the two of you.
Intro press
get
conference?
a little bottle of wine, maybe some charcuterie, and just go through every single introductory press conference around the league.
Charcuterie. Huh? I'm more of like a cheesesteak pizza guy.
I mean,
I love charcuterie.
I know you love a charcuterie board.
Oh, I love doing a charcuterie.
I'm thinking this is like a. If we're talking about a couple hours, you're gonna house a cheesesteak. You're gonna be sitting there
that's
feeling
true.
gross. I'm talking about like you want to be continuing to nibble as you go through.
I gotta say, I'm never overwhelmed.
Inefficient, probably. You want to just throw in all those calories at once. Let me get back to work.
Charcuterie boards don't do it for me. Yeah.
Oh man, I love a charcuterie board.
Absolutely.
Emily makes a charcuterie board, and it seems like too much work for the actual like result of the food.
But that's part of the enjoyment is the plate
to keep coming back.
Yeah, the charcuterie boards don't do it for me, and it's
because of the inefficiency.
It's not. You have the crackers on one hand. You have the little meats, the honey,
the little meats,
the grainy mustard, and there's just so much involved in.
Getting hot in here.
I like just picking up.
Choose your own adventure.
I like just picking up something and eating it. Not the 4 stages.
Oh no!
Every bite can be different.
The cheese is always hard to cut.
You find all the different ways to tickle your palate. You can do some with the sweet, some with the spicy, some with the savory. Different crackers.
I don't knock charcuterie boards.
I mean, you're literally not. That's what you're doing.
It's just not my favorite thing. That's all.
Okay. Well, the Eagles have 24 players on their charcuterie board for Flu World Order. Now, for those of you who are new to the game, this is one of the big games that we have. We have 24 players here, and they're in 3 different categories. You have the pending free agents. You have the trade or cut possibilities, veterans on the roster, and then there's just one person here this year, and that is the retired. Will they retire or not? We are going to rank those 24 players from 1 to 24 in order of how likely we think they are to return to the Eagles. Now, those 3 buckets are important because there's different scoring for the 3 buckets. If you are a pending free agent, you count as returning to the team if you are on the roster at any point in the 2025 season, starting with the first day of the league year through the end of the season. If you are a trade cut possibility, we're talking your Dallas Goederts, your Darius Slays. They count if they are on the week 1 roster. That's it. Or week 1 injured reserve, week 1 PUP. But essentially, they have a week 1 deadline to be traded or released. And then for Brandon Graham, the retired, he counts if he has not retired before week 1, and he is back with the Eagles. Before we get to the proceedings, we have to review last year's Flu World Order results. And this is the image I sent you before the show. Julia, I don't know if you saw it. We have it. Now, this was an interesting one. I was the 2-time defending champ, one in 2022, one in 2023. And entering the season, Zach had pipped me. Daniz called it, said it's going to be an overturn. Zach ready to win. He was up by 1 point. 1 point ahead of me heading into the season.
Who came back?
However, it wasn't over. In the middle of the year, the Eagles signed Jack Driscoll. I had as 17, you had as 18. That tied it up, which meant that we were going to go to the first ever Flu World Order tiebreaker until the very end of the season when the Eagles add Nicholas Morrow back to the team, who I had as 24, Zach had as 26, and so I crowned myself 3-time defending Flu World Order champ, back to back to back. Take that, Andy Reid. Take that, Patrick Mahomes. It is possible. I can do it.
Congratulations. I was not following the implications. Well, yeah, well,
I totally forgot that Nicholas Morrow. Obviously, I would have celebrated the signing if I had realized that it crowned me for the 3rd year in a row, but that's all right. It's no sweat off my back. Just keep in mind as we proceed through this event that there's one expert here.
It still befuddles me that A.J. Brown was on that list.
I know. That was the first thing I was going to ask you guys.
It shows you how ridiculous the dialogue around Philadelphia was last February.
Yeah, I mean that was a real talking
they
point.
Were clearly
maybe
there were places
AJ
looking
Brown.
for content. Yeah, A.J. Brown was never being traded.
No, but it really was a part of the
conversation.
Yes,
it goes back to our conversation from yesterday about this.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Now, Fran, as we begin to proceed here, how did you feel about going through this for the first time? Difficult exercise.
Doing it in this short span, trying to turn the brain off from the Eagles just played a game 9 days ago to doing this exercise made it difficult, but it's fun. We had some conversations here and there, trying to run my thoughts by people. Okay. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's always you start at the top and the end.
Right.
You try to figure out your 1 and your 24, and then you work your way towards the middle. It's tough.
Tough
exercise.
2 big groups. So I ended up splitting mine into 5 tiers.
Okay.
All right, these are guys I definitely feel like are staying, definitely going, probably staying, probably going, and then neutral. So, and then I put them in the buckets.
I just worked my way through.
I tiered within the buckets.
Top and bottom. Okay.
I have a hard time with this game.
It's a tough game.
I can't distinguish between 19 and 13. It's like when I grade and I'm like, what's the difference between a 79 and a 74 and an 87 and an 83? It's hard for me. So I'm better at giving the analysis than the rankings.
There are a lot of studies. So you if you want to read something about, there are very studies done on grading philosophies with that in mind, how trying to shrink that down to there's been a lot of talk about it with NFL draft grading with teams where do you grade on a 5-point scale, a 9-point scale, a 3-point scale because of that exact dilemma.
Yeah, I'm so excuse me. I am so interested in sports evaluators, but basically, I've talked to Bo about this. Baseball evaluators, they just screw me up. This 80-point scale, it's like, why 80? It's the only thing in the world where it's like if you're a 78, you're great. Yeah. So.
Well, they only do it in buckets of 5.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Yeah. Okay. All right. Now we're going to go through this in alphabetical order by last name. If anybody's doing alphabetical order by first name, they're very unserious. I think that's like a real tell. So it's nice that we get to start with probably the most interesting decision on this list for the Eagles. And that is Zack Baun. Zack Baun, who was an all-pro player, defensive player of the year candidate. And we know that the Eagles have not historically paid this position, but he was the key to the defense for Vic Fangio. It is my belief that the Eagles would very much like to bring Zack Baun back. And I think if they could bring any of the 4 main free agents back, I think they would choose it to be Zack Baun. But I also think, as you have said, Zach, They're gonna have a number. They're gonna stick to a number. I sort of view this as similar to the Javon Hargrave situation from a couple years ago.
Okay.
Because this is not a player who, I mean, he's 29 years old.
Yes.
This is his third go round, right? You're not talking about a player who's going to be here for a foundational piece for the next 4 years, right? However, if you want to be as good of a defense as you were next year as you were this year, Zack Baun's a big key to that. I think they're going to be willing to pay more than they ever have for a linebacker. But if he hits the open market and someone offers him $23 million, $20 million, they're not going to pay that, right?
You're absolutely right. And we discussed this last week. When you look at the linebacker contracts, the last linebacker to hit the open market who was like this type of player, and he wasn't even an all-pro, was Tremaine Edmonds. Now, he was younger, but he was up at $18 million. I mean, Roquan Smith was $20 million. So I see some of these predictions online, and I'm like, is Howie Roseman putting this out as opposed to Zack Baun's agent? Like, when I see $14 million, that would...
There's no way he's only going to get 14.
Exactly.
No
so that would really surprise me. I think the Eagles are going to have to pay a premium price.
What kind of contract do you expect?
I would expect it to be essentially a 2-year deal. I think that they would pay a lot in the first...
With like $35 million guaranteed?
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Right? Yeah. So I think heavy the first 2 years, almost like the Saquon contract, right? Okay. Now, obviously more money than what Saquon got, but I would expect like 17 and a half a year for the first 2 years of the deal. So yeah, so you're looking at 35 guaranteed.
And worth noting that you would think that if the structure of the NFL was correct, this would be a franchise tag candidate. But because linebackers, the number includes the edge rushers.
Yes.
It's like a $23 million or even higher. Than that,
it's the second high. It goes quarterbacks, then edge rushers. It's quarterbacks, then linebackers. Linebackers are more than defensive linemen.
Right, and so that's not a possibility. For the Eagles. What about you, Fran? What do you expect?
Looking at the numbers, I think where the 14 comes from is obviously last year's market. Patrick Queen on the open market, and he got 13.7 from the Pittsburgh Steelers. You look at Frankie Louvu, he got 12. So it's like, okay, you project that forward. That gets you to
Patrick
14.
Queen's only getting 14. Maybe Baun's only getting 17.
Matt Milano, when he got his deal done a couple off seasons ago, that was 14.2. The three biggest ones are Roquan Smith is at 20, Fred Warner's at 19.1, and Tremaine Edmonds is at 18. And again, Edmonds got done at 18 2 years ago. That was the same year. So that was a huge contract back then. I don't think that Baun gets up there, would be my guess. So I agree with Zach. I think you're probably looking in that 17. It'll be somewhere in that middle ground.
It's going to be a really fascinating study for the open market if he gets to the open market, because he played at an unbelievable level. Skill set that you think would translate to every defense, but he's only done it once, and he's 29 years old.
Yep.
So, like, how much? It only takes one team. But I do think, as you have said, Zach, I imagine this is one where the Eagles would really love to get something done before free agency starts.
I am predicting March 5th. March 5th, the Eagles sign Zack Baun to a contract.
So you think it's going to happen?
Write it down.
Yeah, Matt Gelb's birthday. They will sign.
That's interesting. You think they'll tie that into the announcement?
I'm actually looking at my calendar here. It says Matt Gelb's birthday and Ash Wednesday.
Okay.
Staying out of religion here. So Matt Gelb's birthday. Yes.
Interesting. Okay. So you think it's going to happen. That must mean that he is relatively low in your rankings. Remember, we're going 1 to 24, 1 being the most likely. So you want a lower number. What number do you have for Zack Baun?
3. For Zack Baun.
Wow.
3. That's high. I know. Yeah.
Oh,
low, high, however you want to. Yeah.
Interesting. I have Zack Baun at 6.
Okay.
So I do think that he is more likely than not to come back, because I think they want him to come back. But I think there are a few that are a little bit more likely to me. So I have him at 6.
I have him at 7.
7. Okay.
I thought I was going to be the low number. I'm shocked that I'm as high as I am.
Interesting.
I have a hard time with the guys who I don't think they're going to bring back, but the guys who might be lingering on the market and they're like, come here.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Those are the ones that.
But that's how the game is won.
I know. That's why I said I'm not very good at this game. Yes.
Okay. All right. One down.
Made Joey laugh. That's good.
One down. Time to take a break. We'll get back with many more on the other side, as well as your super chats. Coming up next, Mekhi Becton. Listen, we're trying to figure out the Eagles' finances for this offseason. Maybe they need to call him TrueMark because maybe give the Eagles a little bit of an extra wiggle room. If all of your holiday shopping or Super Bowl expenditure left you with a credit card balance that's weighing you down, there's a place where you can go to pay it off faster and with zero interest until 2026. But you got to get going because this deal is only available if you apply before February 28th. TrueMark Financial is offering zero interest on balance transfers for 12 months, so all your payments can go toward reducing your balance, not just covering the interest. Here's the play. Transfer your existing balance from another institution to a TrueMark Financial Visa credit card and take advantage of this amazing offer. Whether you're interested in earning rewards, cash back, or simply prefer a low rate for everyday purchases, with TrueMark Financial, you can choose the credit card that best fits your financial needs. Visit TrueMark.com/compare for full details and to apply today. That's TRUMARK.com/compare. TrueMark Financial, federally insured by the NCUA, Equal Opportunity Lender. Terms and conditions apply. All loans subject to approval. 3% balance transfer fee applies. Standard rates apply after the promotional rate.
Tomorrow night, 10 p.m., Hornets, Lakers. You thought Mark Williams was going to be on Lakers. You thought Dalton Connect was going to be on Hornets. Didn't happen. You're watching this game. You're like, what am I going to watch it for? Well, you might want a little juice on the game. And to do that, go to Bet365. At Bet365, Bet365 is 90 million users worldwide. Live streams 780,000 events each year. Early payout offers across NBA, NFL, NHL, and MLB. They pioneered live in-game betting. So I talked about the basketball game tomorrow night. With the Bet365 early payout offer, you're a winner if your team goes up by 20 points with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. Download the app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Breaking news from Bet365, new customers now get $100 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use the code PHLY365, deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to get $100 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in PA. If you or someone you know has a problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
I need to give a moa culpa to the sickos for yesterday's episode. I mean, what a bad job by me dropping the ball, not celebrating President's Day with Zach. I mean, from Labor Day to President's Day, that was the day. This was it over here. And I totally dropped the ball. I'm sorry.
I'll tell you what, this is one of the last President's Days we'll have without talking about the Super Bowl the day before because the schedule is going to be moved back.
No, I thought you said the world was going to end.
Oh, no. I'm not planning for that. Okay. I'm hopeful the world's here for a long time. Okay.
Me too.
But soon enough, Super Bowl Sunday will be the night before President's Day. And so if your kids are off of school on President's Day, they can sleep in after the Super Bowl. They don't have to cancel school. It's great. It's part of the appeal of Labor Day, President's Day. Think about it.
He still did the motion.
I mean, Roger Goodell, I think, agrees with me on this. I think soon enough, there's going to be only 2 preseason games. There's going to be 18 regular season games.
Yep. And
the Super Bowl will be pushed back a week. Now,
that means starting earlier, right? I guess on a week earlier or eliminating the bye, the Super Bowl bye.
That's a good question here. Right now they start the weekend after Labor Day. So if they start Labor Day weekend and they push it back,
right?
Yeah, they'll be able to do that.
When do you think this happens?
My guess is 2027.
So what date are they going to announce it? March 5th, 2026?
No.
When is Connor Orr's birthday?
I have to look at my calendar. Sorry, Connor. Connor's great, by the way. Did one of the best stories I read at the Super Bowl about the Italian heritage and the Eagles organization. But no, I think that this is something that the NFL is going to push for, and I think ultimately it is going to happen. But I was about to say something that I lost track. Yeah, so the shorter preseason is where they will go with it.
Some super chats to get to before we get to Mekhi Becton next up. Ooh, a few. All the sickos are out for today's big episode. Little Miss Run the Ball, Claire says, Bo, the sickos need to know what a medieval British accent sounds like for research purposes. Thank you for your demonstration. What's the connection here? Medieval.
Bo does love medieval times.
I do love medieval times.
Yeah, so put yourself in medieval times.
All right, let me think about that, and I'll bust it out at some point.
You should do one full player.
Yeah.
Thing in medieval accent towards the end.
All right, that's a good idea.
Oh.
CDP checking in says Pecknest migrate season inflection points. 2024's We Have Our Moments bye week. 2023 Christian Ellis excommunication. 2021's plane ride from Vegas.
Good one. So, I mean, I would definitely migrate to Christian Ellis excommunication.
So it cost them the season.
Yeah, you don't want that. You probably you'll peck the. You will nest the 2024 bye week.
Let's do Super Bowl.
You'll take that anytime.
Yeah.
And hey, playing home from Vegas, you don't want that all the time, but every once in a while, you get Fletcher Cox saying the right things on the plane, Rodney McLeod saying, So take that.
All right.
Great analysis.
Brandon says, nice Dominican fade, Zach. And Kill a Cow says, using my first ever super chat to announce that I will be a father for the first time this summer.
Nice.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Kill a Cow. Any tips aside from the Baby Wickersham books?
Oh,
what are the Baby Wickersham?
Well, he's saying baby books, but Seth Wickersham writes the best book, so he's saying.
He does write. He has a great book coming out in September. I already pre-ordered it on the quarterbacks.
I mean, I would say if it's a boy, make sure that when you are changing the baby's diaper, Kill a Cow, that you take care of those little Duprees. You don't want to be wiping those bad boys.
did you do the little TP?
No, we didn't do the TP. You just put the diaper on top. Yeah.
I would say,
wow, Kill a Cow.
That's great.
Yeah, that's great. My advice to you would be that's a very important. Like, you're a first time father, but don't forget during that time being a husband, because your significant other is going through a lot during that period, right? And so make sure that your significant other gets the attention that she deserves in that case.
But I was told Kill a Cow couldn't have sex.
I wasn't aware of that, but look, nonetheless, congratulations, Kill a Cow.
Congratulations.
That's awesome.
All right, Mekhi Becton.
Yes.
The big ticket. Do the Eagles want to spend some money to bring back their right guard, who had such a great season under Jeff Stoutland? Do they want to let him go? Fran, I'm going to let you start here with how you're approaching the Mekhi Becton decision for the Eagles.
So I mentioned I had 5 buckets. I felt like they're definitely gone, definitely staying, probably going, probably staying, and then neutral. He is right in the middle for me. He was number 12 for me.
Oh, interesting.
I'm of two minds. I could see him saying, you know what? Because this is a guy that was a top 10 pick. He got a huge contract already, relatively. Yep. He's already gotten a lot of money in the bank account. I could see a situation where you say, you know what, this is the best place for me to succeed for my future growth. I had great success here. You saw how close he was with his teammates, with his coaches, and all the behind-the-scenes content that the Eagles provided this season. I think when you look at what he can be for the team down the road, he offers some tackle flexibility potentially. So I think when you look at Becton, there's definitely a case for him to stay. I also think there's something to be said for this was a one-year reclamation project, a way to try to turn a comp pick. Maybe we didn't talk about enough about that in the summer when they were inserting him into the starting lineup to say, they're seeing this as a long-term investment to try and get a draft pick a year down the line. But that's why I ended up right in the middle. I could see it going either way.
All right. How about you, Zach?
So I think that if it's purely to play right guard next season, I don't anticipate him being back unless it's a team-friendly contract. I think that if they view him as Lane Johnson's eventual replacement and he's on the Sean Andrews plan, then I can see them paying to keep him because you get a contract that, relatively speaking, is on the lower end for starting right tackle. That would be the way that I would see it. As it stands now, I think that the delta between Mekhi Becton and Tyler Steen is not $7 million.
Yep.
And I would imagine that Mekhi Becton has earned himself $10 million plus. So if it's just to play right guard, I think they'll turn to Tyler Steen.
What number do you have?
Oh, sorry. I'll get the analysis. I'm better at the analysis than the number. I have him at 13.
13.
There you go.
Now, do you think, Fran, as an evaluator of Mekhi Becton, that projecting him to be a right tackle to take over for Lane Johnson is realistic?
I mean, it's within the realm of possibility. I would say it's non-zero. But I do think he's probably better served long-term at guard than tackle.
And some of his deficiencies in space are mitigated by getting to play right guard.
Yeah, and now there are some things that show up at guard that are less of an issue at tackle too. So it kind of does cut both ways. But yeah, I do think he's probably better served on the inside.
I think the Mekhi Becton one is interesting because I think you could make the case that if anyone's going to take a discount and leave money on the table, it would be Mekhi Becton.
Agree.
Because you've seen from him how much this season meant to him. He did get the first round contract of being a highly drafted player. He's seen what it's like on the other side. But this is one where I'm hoping to make some headway here with the way that I rank it. I really don't believe that Mekhi Becton's going to be back for a few reasons. One, they're going to extend Cam Jurgens this offseason, right? And so then you're paying Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson, Jordan Mailata, and Lane Johnson top of the market for their positions. It's hard for me to believe you would pay 5 guys along the offensive line at the top of their market. I think one of the reasons that you trust Jeff Stoutland is that he can get quality level play for this position between Jurgens and Lane Johnson. Like it should be relatively easy. I think the comp pick thing, Jeffrey Lurie was already talking about the comp picks. They're going to get Milton and Josh Sweat presumably. Becton's going to qualify for that. I think they view this as a relatively replaceable position. I'm putting Mekhi Becton all the way at 22 on my list.
Wow.
Because I don't think he's coming back, and he's a player who, unlike some of these other players, if he goes elsewhere, he's not coming back in the middle of the season. Right. So this is one where I may have egg on my face, but I think I would be very surprised if Mekhi Becton is back with the Eagles next season.
This is why you're good at this game, right?
Well, we'll see.
Well, I mean, three in a row, but
yes.
Okay. All right. Next up, we go to Ian Book. Ian Book, who was signed at the end of the season to fill that practice squad spot. Listen, if he's number 1 on their emergency list if they need a quarterback, but I've got him at 20.
15.
24.
24.
Wow.
I don't see Ian Book coming back.
Well, yeah, this is one where Ian Book is not coming back anytime soon.
Right.
But if they need a guy in November,
right.
You had him 15?
15. Let me just double check. Yes, 15.
Yeah, good for Ian Book. He was partying in the locker room. He gets the ring. About 2 weeks earlier, he was analyzing football. So I don't anticipate Ian Book being on the team next year.
All right. We move on now to Zach. What you think about James Bradbury? It's James
there were
Bradbury.
3 different.
I gotta work into it, man.
I don't anticipate James Bradbury being. I don't anticipate James Bradbury being back next year. I don't think James Bradbury anticipates being back next year. I have James Bradbury at 23.
But more likely than Ian Book in your eyes.
Sure. I mean, there's a chance if there's not a market. I still think James Bradbury is an NFL player. I don't see Ian Book as an NFL player.
All right, Fran, what about you? How you see James Bradbury? I reckon he's not coming back here.
24. I have him at 24. I think that it was the least likely. When I look at everything, I think everything Zach said is spot on. No notes.
All right. I've also got James Bradbury at 24. I don't think he's coming back. Au revoir. All right, next up, Oren Burks.
Yes.
Oren Burks. Now, listen, intertwined probably with the Zack Baun decision. We know that Nakobe Dean is not going to be back at the start of next season. We'll see how they address the position in the draft or elsewhere in free agency. But Oren Burks played at a pretty high level when called into action in the postseason. Where do you guys have Oren Burks? We'll start with you, Fran.
I have him at number 8. Yeah, I put him at 8. I feel like there's, a definite possibility he's a guy that gets brought back on a 1-year deal early in free agency, potentially before free agency. Obviously, we know the injury to Nakobe Dean and what that means, but then also, obviously, as insurance in case Baun does not come back. So I think there are a lot of pathways to Oren Burks coming back here to be an Eagle next year.
I know better than to disagree with Fran Duffy, unless the topic is James Pierce Jr. So I'm going to go with Oren Burks. I have him at number 9 on my list.
That's interesting. I also have him at number 9.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know not to disagree with the champ either.
Yeah, I think this is an easy one where, well, not an easy one, but one where like if they don't re-sign Zack Baun, it would make a lot of sense for them to bring back Oren Burks. And even if they do, there's a possibility they could bring him back as well. So and also not going to command a ton of money. I
thought Howie Roseman's description of him last year to Nick Sirianni, and it was like the best like third or fourth linebacker in the league is how they viewed it, and that would be kind of the role for him. Would be insurance for Nakobe Dean, contributes on special teams, respected guy in the locker room, great guy to drive to Florida with, but not someone you break the bank for.
Okay. Next up, another Nick Sirianni favorite, Paris Campbell. Billy Campbell.
This for the medieval accent.
Will he be back? I have Paris Campbell at 17. Paris Campbell at 17. I don't believe that he's someone the Eagles will try to bring back, but this is one where you get a wide receiver injury in the summer. You need to fill a roster spot. Paris Campbell could be back.
Yeah, I'm at 15. Same logic that Bo said.
I've got him at 10.
Really?
Yeah, I got him higher. I just feel like he's a guy that I feel like he's on their short list of like, all right, we need a receiver. Let's bring in Paris Campbell. I don't anticipate. I mean, I'm still seeing mock drafts with the Eagles like taking wide receivers in the first round. No. I don't think that they're going to make some big investment at that position. I think Jahan Dotson is wide receiver 3, and I think that it's very easy to just keep Paris Campbell on the short list for wide receiver, 4 or 5 in a pinch if there's an injury.
All right. Go.
Yeah, I think that Jahan Dotson of this all is something Eagles fans must keep in mind during the offseason. Is the Eagles traded good draft inventory to get him. It's a move they made for not just this year but beyond this year. And Jahan Dotson finished the season well, right? I mean, played well in the Super Bowl, had a big game in Week 18. I think there's a little Jahan Dotson buzz in the building going into the offseason.
And even less about like how much impact he's going to make. It's more about they've got a number 3 receiver who's on his rookie contract. They're not going to sign a wide receiver. They may draft one in the middle rounds to eventually replace him. But yeah, they're not going to spend more money on that position. All right, one more before the next break, and I think a case to be made that this person would be the least likely to be identified as a member of the 2024 Super Bowl champion Eagles a couple of years from now. And that is, of course, the Raven, Raven Clark.
Yeah, he's the Randall Goforth who you see him at the ring ceremony, and you're like, oh, he was on the team. I saw him around the Super Bowl. People were like, who's that? And I said, that's Raven Clark. I have Raven Clark at 22. I don't anticipate him being back, but he's one of those guys the Eagles can't seem to quit.
I'm at 21 for the same reason.
I'm 23. Raven Clark. There you go. Congratulations to all the Clarks. Super chat from Brandon from NJ, who says, future Eagles Chris Paul from Ole Miss. Book it. Well, Brandon, you're going to enjoy the episode of the PHLY Eagles Draft Show with Fran Duffy that comes out later this week. We can discuss Chris Paul's son a little bit.
That's a tease.
That's what you call a tease. And on the other side, we're going to be talking about Britton Covey, Jack Driscoll, Kenneth Gainwell, Nick Gates, Dallas Goedert, Brandon Graham, Bryce Huff, Fred Johnson, Rick Lovato, Avonte Maddox, Tanner McKee, Kenny Pickett, Isaiah Rodgers, Darius Slay, Josh Sweat, CJ Uzomah, and Milton Williams, just after this word from our sponsors.
Also a tease.
Ooh, golden nugget time. Got to be careful of those golden nuggets, kill a cow, but you may also want to get yourself a little present for the missus. Golden Nugget's the place to do it. For the past 30 years, Golden Nugget Jewelers has operated out of the very same location in the heart of Philadelphia. Customers from across Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and even Baltimore and New York City and maybe Washington, D.C. have come to Golden Nugget Jewelers to find that perfect engagement ring or wedding band. Their staff is highly trained and dedicated to providing a personalized shopping experience with a vast selection of engagement rings and wedding bands, along with high-end watches, fashion jewelry, and sparkling diamond necklaces, bracelets, earrings, and more. Receive a final cleaning and written appraisal with every engagement ring purchase. Golden Nugget Jewelers has been a family-owned and operated business since 1987, right there on 8th and Chestnut in downtown Philly. You deserve an expert and the best price. Golden Nugget Jewelers, where Philly gets engaged. Visit goldennuggetjewelry.com today to learn more.
And now let's hear from our friends at Shady Rays, because yeah, it's winter, but we can still talk about sunglasses. It's going to be cold in Philly for a long time, but it's never too early to start thinking about the summer and about the sun. And our friends at Shady Rays are helping you get in the right frame of mind with their premium polarized shades.
That's what you call a pun.
There it is. That won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglass company offering a world-class product. It's rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their sunglasses have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. If you like to ski, if you like to snowboard, whatever you like to do during the winter months leading into the summer, they've got snow goggles ready to help you see clearly and look good on those slopes. Available in both adult and kid sizes. With so many colors available, you'll find a pair that is perfect for you. Maybe you're looking for that Eagles green, a Kelly green color maybe. You can find whatever you need with Shady Rays. And if your shades ever go missing, if they take a hit when you're out there skiing or snowboarding, don't sweat it. They've got the most insane protection of all eyewear. Every pair is backed by their lost or broken replacement program. If you don't love your shades, you can exchange for or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. PHLY viewers and listeners, this is all for you. Go to shadyrays.com and save 35% off polarized sunglasses with code PHLY. Over 300,000 people have rated Shady Rays 5 stars, so go use code PHLY today at shadyrays.com.
All right. We move on to Britton Covey. Now, Britton Covey, one of 2 restricted free agents on this list. Restricted free agents. I believe Jimmy Kemsky had the numbers for the projected tenders for restricted free agents. You got the second round tender. You got the first round tender, the second round tender, and then the right of first refusal. The right of first refusal is somewhere around like $2 or $3 million. The Eagles are probably not going to do that for Britton Covey, but he's a player who, if they let hit the open market, they might be willing to come back. I imagine they don't want Cooper DeJean to be the full-time punt returner next season. Where do you have Britton Covey?
I have Britton Covey at 5.
Oh,
and
interesting.
I don't think they tender him, but I do think they sign him. I think I think they like him in the building, and I think he's someone who likes being here. I know that there's been interest in the past in other teams signing him, and Covey's wanted to stay. Maybe here has changed it, but I'm expecting Britton Covey to stay one more year.
Fran?
Number 2.
Number 2.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just feel like that Britton Covey.
Man.
I think the coaches love him. I don't think there's any reason for him to leave. He's got a role as a punt returner. I don't think they want to put DeJean back there every down, like you said.
Oof, I'm gonna lose some points here. I got him at 12.
Wow.
I mean, I think he's likely to come back, but I also think he could go somewhere else. It's gonna give him a full.
Yeah, everyone could. I mean, but yeah,
you could go somewhere else.
Do you want to go somewhere else?
No. No.
You open the door.
The door is right there, my friend.
I've thought about that, but no.
And the window's right there.
Haven't thought about that. Have thought about that.
I just I think he's a player who they would take back for the right cost, but I also think somebody else might give him $2 million to be a slot receiver and punt returner, something like that. Okay. Next up, the player who played a big role in the outcome of Flu World Order this year, and that is Jack Driscoll, who went to Miami and then came back to the Eagles, suffered an injury at the end of the season, so he's going to be a little bit behind the 8 ball. Where do you guys have Jack Driscoll? We'll start with you this time, Zach.
19.
19?
Yeah, he's someone who he could come back. He has center versatility. The Eagles let him go last year. Now, there was more of a market for him. But my guess is the Eagles will add some young offensive linemen this offseason. I think that you're looking at more of that center guard role for Driscoll. But I think that's a position that they could draft. Now, they tried doing that last year, of course, with Dylan McMahon. Didn't work. But
well, that's debatable.
Sure. But it wouldn't surprise me if they kind of develop someone into that role as opposed to bringing Driscoll back.
Fran?
I ended up putting him at 9.
9.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I just 13, so we're splitting the difference a little bit.
There we go. I just felt like with the versatility there, I don't think that there's like a long line of suitors. You mentioned the injury. I just feel like it's more likely than not that he will be back.
I actually think the injury makes it more likely that he'll return.
I agree.
Because he will have less of a market elsewhere.
Exactly.
And it'll be like, okay, we'll let you come into camp and show us how healthy you are, maybe get some game film. You'll end up going somewhere else after cuts, but
that's how I viewed it.
It makes more sense for you to come back here. All right. Big difference in Flu World Order with 3 versus 2. It's it's not just mano a mano. The points will be a little bit different.
The stress is palpable.
Now we go to Kenny Gainwell. How much juice does Nick Sirianni have in the building? Does Nick Sirianni use his acquired Super Bowl juice to get Kevin Patullo installed as offensive coordinator, or does he use it to get Kenny Gainwell paid in return? Where do you have Kenny Gainwell, Zach?
I'm Gainwell 10.
Whoa.
And
wow.
I think if there's not a market for Gainwell, they bring him back. But I think Gainwell's preference would probably be to go to a place where he could have a bigger role. But I think this could be a Boston Scott situation where they bring him back at a low price.
By the way, saw Boston Scott at the Eagles Player Hotel in New Orleans. They was there hanging with the team, not at the party, but during the week.
His former stomping grounds.
Yes, that's where he started his career in New Orleans.
A little high here for me, or low, however you want to frame it. A little too likely.
No, I think that's the right area. Okay. I have him at 14.
Okay.
Wow.
Now I think the framing that you heard sometimes this season was like, Kenny Gainwell he's really one of the best backup running backs in the league. Like he could be a starting caliber running back somewhere. I don't really agree with that.
Right.
I think he's a good number 2. But if you're Kenny Gainwell, I mean, you only got really one more shot, like as a running back at this age to be something like a lead back. I think you probably want to go somewhere outside Saquon Barkley, but I don't know. Maybe the Nick Sirianni love affair is two-sided, and he wants to come back.
Yeah, I think that too. It would behoove him to get every dime that he can get at this point, because he's not going to get more 2 years. All right, so I think that when you look at Kenny Gainwell, I ended up putting him at 16. Okay. When I had those tiers, I had him in the tier of probably leaving, but at the bottom of the tier, the very bottom of that. So I think when you look at him, there's definitely a path where he comes. But that's a shot right across Will Shipley's bow. I feel like that was the idea: is you spend a 4th round pick on Shipley to replace Gainwell.
Yeah, that's why I think it would be on the Eagles' terms.
Yeah,
I mean, I look at this. There's some good running backs in this draft class. I'll defer to you on that. But I can't see a team knocking down the door to sign Kenny Gainwell.
Okay, fair enough. Next up, I would say, given the fact that there are 24 players here, very front of the alphabet loaded for these free agents. We're already at 13, and we're only at the G's.
I hadn't thought about it.
Yeah. And that means that it's Nick Gates time, and everybody strap in for the big Nick Gates conversation. Nick Gates, by the way, showing no wear or tear on that groin in the post-game locker room celebration. The groin with that nasty injury that landed him on injured reserve to make way for
Pretty sure he walked the whole parade. He walked from South Philly to the art museum,
and not a limp in there at all. What a miracle recovery for that groin for Nick.
Out of curiosity, what would a labored groin?
A bit of a limp.
A bit of a limp. Okay. Yeah.
You've never injured your groin. You're the one who's going to make this one sexual, Zach.
I wasn't making it sexual at all.
We're not talking about the Anthony Harris 2 hands and a groin injury at the same time.
The famous injury, of course. Yes. I have Nick Gates at 20.
I hope that Nick Gates gets the Walter Payton Man of the Year, or maybe the Ed Block Courage Award next year for recovering from that dastardly groin injury that he suffered during Super Bowl week.
I mean, if you're Nick Gates,
you're
not going to be active anyways. You're not going to be active anyways. You get Brandon Graham on the 53. You still get to celebrate. You still get the ring. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. He wasn't going to be active. Nick Gates, though.
Howie just comes and kicks him in the groin on Friday of Super Bowl week.
I have him at 20. Similar conversation to Jack Driscoll, even coming off the injury. Yeah. But he's someone who I think the Eagles will go younger at that center guard spot.
I have him at 17. Same kind of thinking. I just I think when you have the center guard versatility, I could see him being honestly the same signing he was this year, where it's they've got an injury in camp and it's August 30th, and let's bring in Nick Gates.
August 30th, I believe, Jenny Vrentis' birthday.
Of course.
I don't think it's August 30th. Yeah.
I'm just throwing out birthdays for you. I have him at 16, so one less than you. Same thing. I don't think they're going to bring Nick Gates back until anytime after August, but he'll be on their list if he's available. I hope that Nick Gates goes to the Cowboys and completes the NFC East circle. 4 teams in 4 years. That would be fun, don't you think?
Right now, he's on a Ross Tucker right now. So we'll see if he can complete it.
Be so lucky.
Yeah, same hometown as Taylor Swift.
That's right.
All right,
actually, Taylor Swift's from the same hometown as Ross Tucker.
Now a big one. Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert is a big conversation for the Eagles this season. Now, he's obviously an important player for the team, but he's on the books for, let me pull this up. So $11.8 million next year, but releasing him would be a lot of dead money. You have said, Zach, that you think there's a chance the Eagles are trying to trade Dallas Goedert this offseason, correct?
Yes, I think trade or cut. No guaranteed money, like you said, but there is a cap hit. This is the cap versus cash conversation.
Yeah.
He's not owed cash, which is something that the team pays attention to. I think Goddard could have some value on the trade market. He's someone who the injuries are there. The age is catching up to him. He could be a post-June 1st designation, although there's someone else who I think would be a post-June 1st designation.
You can do up to 2.
You can do up to 2, exactly. I have Dallas Goedert at 8.
Okay.
I don't know if he's going to be back, and this is I'll defer to Fran again. This is a real tight end draft class.
Yeah.
Actually, Reed was asking me the other day, "What are you doing right now?" And I said, "I'm watching Harold Fenton Jr." Okay, I like a Harold Fenton Jr.
Yeah.
I know that you have more important things to do.
Yes.
Watching a tight end from Bowling Green, by the way.
Yeah, I did not watch Harold Fenton Jr. during the year, so he's one of the guys I wanted to get updated with going into the combine because I did not watch any Bowling Green. Well, I'm talking to the tight ends next Thursday, and I need to know some stuff about Harold Fenton. I know the bio of him from Canton, Ohio, like 6'4", 230. Had 117 catches, I believe, this year, right? But hadn't seen him play. Like a Harold Fenton Jr. I got to say that. But there's some other tight ends in this class that I like. Anyways, and then I'm all about your idea from week 2, which is trading for Kyle Pitts.
Yeah. No, I do feel like I called my shot on that, and I do think that is a real possibility.
I'm telling you now, I would give that an A right away.
That's extremely Zach. You not even need to know the terms and just give it an A.
Don't even need to know the terms.
The Eagles have just traded Jalen Hurts and a first-round pick for Kyle Pitts.
I was watching a press conference last night. Jeff Holbrook, the new defensive coordinator there in Atlanta, and I was thinking, man, Bryce Huff had some good years under Jeff Holbrook.
Go ahead, Zach. In the press box before the Super Bowl, Zach calls him shot. He said he's thinking Bryce Huff and a third. Well, he originally said a fifth, and I said there's no way that would get it done. So we figured out Bryce Huff and a third for Kyle Pitts.
Who says no?
Not me.
Yeah, but Bryce Huff, yeah, you're right. So I said San Francisco or Atlanta, and I think the Eagles would be more apt to trade him to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Anyways, I have Dallas Goedert at 8. I think Goddard's a good player, but I think the Eagles will look to move on from him if it makes sense.
I have him at 5. I had him a little bit higher on the list, as in like less likely. And the more conversations I had with people, the more more I thought about it. It was like, well, why would he be so low on this list? I settled with him at 5.
Yeah, I surprised myself. I similar to you, I expected to have him as less likely to come back.
Yeah.
But I do think there's an easy path to like a short-term restructure to bring him back. I don't think that, barring a Kyle Pitts trade or someone like that, I don't think they're going to just enter the draft without a starting tight end. I think they like Dallas Goedert. Now, listen, the injuries are a real issue. It's part of why I think they need to change his number if they do bring him back. But because of his
jersey number.
Yeah, his
salary.
His salary.
Oh,
I heard it the same way.
Anyway, because of all that, I have him at number 3. Just because there's a difference between the guys who were already on the roster. I'm going to weigh them a little bit more than your Fred Johnsons.
I agree.
Okay, so I have him at 3. All right, next up, the big one, the retire question. Brandon Graham.
Man.
This I don't know what to do here. Like, is Brandon Graham coming back? Maybe. I don't know. I have him at 10.
I put him at 11.
Yeah, I'm at way too high. I have it at 6, but I don't think he's gonna be back. But it's one of those things where if he wants to be back, he'll be back.
Right. If he wants to get back, he's gonna be on the Eagles for sure.
So, and the fact that he wasn't like he was,
he didn't drop the mic at the parade.
Yes, exactly. Or he didn't definitively say after the Super Bowl that he's done. makes me think that if it's in their mind, unless he wants to have a Kelsey send off.
Yep.
But yeah, I still think he retires, but I went 6 here because if he wants to be back, he'll be back.
Okay. Next up, we just talked about him, Bryce Huff. Bryce Huff, I think the Eagles would love to move on from him. I don't know if they will be able to move on from him. I have him at 5.
It's going to be a big one.
Uh-oh.
I got him at 22.
22?
Wow, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Where are you at?
14.
Oh, man.
Split the
Wow,
difference.
we're all over the board.
Wow.
Yeah. I think the Eagles will eat the money here. Bryce Huff, he was inactive for the Super Bowl. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, that's true.
And I heard there was some rumblings about maybe a trade deadline kind of thing. Like
22.
Yeah,
who's trading for Bryce Huff?
You think
the Falcons or the Niners?
You think the Eagles will eat the money?
Yeah, I think so.
Exactly.
I think so. He's that bad of a fit.
But if I can, if I can say what you said off air, if you don't mind, I think Bo hit it on the head where they would want to do a player for player deal.
Right.
Like, they'll eat the money, but they won't do it for like a 7th round pick. It'll have to be a safe.
There would be too much egg on their face.
Exactly.
Yes. In order for them to spin it, I think they'll give what it takes to get a real player back.
Exactly.
So that the spin is a little bit easier.
Yeah. So they take a player. So so they're like, well, really, you're paying $18 million or whatever it is for this player.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you have an idea?
I had one, but it's the ship has sailed. I had an idea, failed draft pick that had a connection to the Eagles, but no.
But now, to tell the audience real quick, the reason why I say the Falcons or the Niners is the coordinators for both the defense coordinators for both those teams come from the Jets, where Bryce Huff thrived, and we know Robert Saleh is on the record as saying how much he likes Bryce Huff.
Now, since we had such a disparity there, you went 22. I'm going to take a little break in the proceedings to address the finals of Swooper Storecasting, so the good folks watching on Fast can get a taste of how things turned out. Entering the Super Bowl, winner take all, essentially. If anybody wins solo, they're going to win. Fran, of course, used so many of those turkeys on the NFC Championship game, a blind auction, and he only had 2 items. A non-quarterback wins MVP. Close. Zach didn't make it happen. And then Nick Sirianni is caught with a tear on his face during the anthem. Unfortunately, did not happen.
By the way, in the mic'd up, not in the NFL Films one, not the one that was on, Josh Sweat did say to Zack Baun during the game, I don't know if you see this one?
Yes.
He said they need to have a defensive player MVP. And Zack Baun's like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. There was, and in the mic'd up, I believe there was someone else who said to Zack Baun MVP. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, no, not going to happen. Zach had 4 items. Jalen Hurts scrambles for more first downs than Patrick Mahomes. Nailed it. The Eagles go for it on 4th and 3 in their own territory. Did not happen.
They did go for it on 4th and 3 at midfield at the 50. I was wondering if maybe there'd be some, because brutal. Your own territory, you could say that's a glass half full, glass half empty type situation. It didn't matter in the end.
It's also not their own territory.
Okay, yes.
But okay. The Eagles have more total sacks than the combined receptions by Eagles other than A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and Saquon Barkley. Thanks to Nick Sirianni's counting, we know that they did. So you hit 2, and then you did not hit A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith combined for over 140 receiving yards, so 2 for you. I had Jalen Hurts does not lose a fumble. Check. Neither all nor none of the following 5 things will happen. Any kick hits the upright or crossbar, a 50-plus yard Saquon Barkley touchdown, a mirror play, a non-Snoopy quarterback touchdown, and points are scored with 0 on the clock in any quarter. Did not happen despite the 9 turkeys paid for it. The Eagles do not get penalized for defensive holding. Check. The final score of the game does not consist of 2 odd and 2 even integers, 40-22. Big check. The game is decided with a score in the final 60 seconds. Did not happen. The Eagles win by 8 or less or fewer. No. The Eagles win by 9 or more. Yes. That means I won the Super Bowl. That means I won Swooper!
Congratulations.
Thank you for watching on Fast. To check out the rest of the celebration and also the rest of Flu World Order, go to allphly.com. Nicely done, everybody.
Well done.
Congrats on the win. Yep,
you earned it. I thought Fran had a great first year. And I, once again, am left trying to figure out the Swooper strategy.
How did you feel about Corey coming clean with his strategy for you?
Well, I mean, I'll say it. It wasn't just bidding on certain numbers. He actually gave me the average for what the swoopers were. And so it's like you have to do, like don't go above the average on this. So I didn't want to go above a certain number based on what his calculations were. I mean, Corey was brilliant with his analysis. He showed me the whole spreadsheet. It was great. It was a little too late. That book signing was during the playoffs.
Tough.
If Corey had gotten to me Tampa Bay week, we'd be in better situation.
And if you had sent the right picture from Tampa Bay week, we might have been in a different situation.
That too, but a man must have a code, and integrity matters.
What?
What?
The picture that you sent was about a man must have a code?
Oh, no, I was thinking of the Cincinnati game where I could have done the picture.
No.
Where
This
it's
was
like I
Tampa
could
where
have
you
waited.
sent-
I could have waited just before the game to post a picture on Twitter.
No.
But that,
Of course.
The Tampa Bay game, I just misunderstood.
It's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Congratulations to Bo Wulf. John, well done. Ball don't lie. Good to have a rightful champion. We appreciate that. All right. Next up, Big Fred Johnson. Will he want to return to Philadelphia and continue to be stalked by the professor? I don't know. He might want to get away. I have Fred Johnson. This is an interesting one because I think it is a little bit connected to Mekhi Becton.
Yeah.
I don't think they want to enter the offseason not having a swing tackle in place, but there's also a chance that Fred Johnson gets an opportunity to start somewhere. Where do you guys have him?
I have him at double check. Yeah, I have him at 6.
Ooh. Yeah, I think that might look good for you. I have him at 11.
I have him at 11 as well. Interesting.
I feel like again,
I think
similar
you might
to
steal
Becton.
some points there.
I think that this is a player that feels good in this situation with his connection with Jeff Stoutland and honestly with the rest of the organization. I think everybody in that building loves Fred. So
And a guy who has been around the league and knows that if this
Grass
is a place
is
that's
always
good
greener.
for him, he might be willing to. I don't think he'll take less money, but he will want to come back.
No, I apologize for this. The reality of spending almost every minute together at the Super Bowl is like between 2 shows and meals, and is that I forget what was said on camera and off camera. So, but you said at one point you think Fred Johnson has a better chance of being the right tackle of the future than Mekhi Becton. Do you feel that way?
I do feel that way.
And why
not
is
that
that?
not that I think it's Fred Johnson. It's more anti-Mekhi. I don't think that the Eagles are going to operate as if Mekhi Becton is their future right tackle. I think it's more possible that they bring back Fred Johnson and he's the backup again for Lane Johnson and then does a fine job for a year or something like that.
So could you see them giving him like a 3-year deal?
Potentially.
Just try to give that time horizon. Okay.
I don't think, but I also don't think they're ever going to plan for him to be the starting right tackle. I just think that's more likely.
Agree.
Fred Johnson is 27, so he's got the tools, the Stoutland tools. I don't know. All right, next up, Rick Lovato, who is the Eagles long snapper. Will he continue to be the Eagles long snapper?
Number 1.
Number 1.
Number 2.
I also have him at number 2.
Okay.
I actually think there's a good chance the Eagles would like to replace Rick Lovato. I don't think they want to continue to. I mean, it's a little bit of a difference. It's a pittance,
exactly.
But I think they would rather have the long snapper on an undrafted rookie contract. But the rules of the game that if he's on the roster at any point, like I don't think they're going to just go in without a long snapper into the offseason. So I think it's possible they bring in a rookie snapper hoping that guy will beat out Rick Lovato. But I don't think they're going to just go ahead and do that. Yeah,
you hit it on the head. I mean, it's like $600,000-$700,000 difference between the league minimum and what Lovato would get. That could, I mean, every dollar counts when you're talking about the top 51, which is what you're operating with during the offseason. But ultimately, I don't know long snappers.
I also think there's a case to be made that he wasn't quite as great this year.
I don't. It's hard for me to say. It's hard for me to say. It's like the year replaced John Dornbos with Lovato. It was like they were looking to replace Dornbos, and I was like, I didn't know Dornbos was struggling.
Right.
There you go. All right, next up, Avonte Maddox, who hit free agency last year.
Yeah.
Looked around, came back, made the team, made a great play in the Super Bowl. Feel good for Avonte Maddox.
Yeah.
I feel like that was probably his last moment as an Eagle, but another guy who could go elsewhere and then come back midseason potentially if things work out that way.
Exactly. I have Avonte Maddox at 12 for the reason you mentioned. This is one where you criticize them for being unimaginative, Bo. And I would probably agree with you. Like, it's like if Avonte Maddox, if there's a safety injury or a cornerback injury in August and they bring Avonte Maddox back and you're like, seriously? No,
I think those situations make more sense.
Yeah, but he's the kind of guy who you know him. You're trying to move on from him, but
14 for that same reason. There's a lot of pathways where I could see him ending back here before the end of the 2025 season.
Yeah, I have him at 19 because I don't think he's going to be back heading into the season.
Yeah.
But this may come back to bite me because there's a chance that he doesn't make it on the roster and then comes back on the practice squad or something like that.
I would be surprised if he's on the team in April. But
Correct.
Once you get into like July, I think the chances rise.
This may be where I lose it. All right. I'm surprised that you don't have him at number 1, Fran, because you have Lovato. But next up is the best player on the team. That is Tanner McKee.
Yeah, I have him at number 3. I think that when you look at it, I think they would rather move on from Kenny Pickett than Tanner McKee.
I think it's possible. Listen, they could get an offer.
That's what I mean. Like you get blown away by an offer. If the Cleveland Browns were like, oh, we'll give you a 3rd-round pick, that's a top 100 pick, right?
Yeah.
Like if it's the early 3rd-round pick, that's tough to turn down.
Yeah, I'm at number 1 here.
Yeah.
But to Fran's point, I mean, what if Kellen Moore loved him?
Right.
And Kellen Moore's like,
good one.
Trade the 2nd-round pick because I think this guy can be a starting quarterback in this league.
Yeah.
And Mickey like, no, I've been down this road before. I'm not doing this with Howie.
Yeah. But I think it has to be someone who's worked with McKee before.
Yeah.
And
so you're probably right.
If the Moore Nussmeier combo is like we really believe in this guy, then I could see it.
Yeah, that's not crazy.
Yeah.
It's not crazy. Do you think they feel that way about Kenny Pickett, who's our next discussion?
I think they would trade Kenny Pickett. I don't know if there's. I don't think the Moore Nussmeier combination views him that way.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
As like the guy to start. I mean, maybe to compete, but you're not getting a lot. I've at 7, Kenny Pickett.
Okay.
Cool. Okay.
I think the Eagles would like to trade him, but I think it's more likely. So this counts if he's on the week run. If he's on one roster,
the trade. These are trade candidates. So they have to make it all the way to week 1.
Yeah. So I don't think Kenny Pickett's getting cut.
Correct.
So
but I think they would rather trade Kenny Pickett.
Yes.
Definitely.
But I think there's a world in which they bring back all 3.
For sure.
Yeah.
I have him at 8, which might be too high.
I have him at 18.
18.
Yeah.
Wow.
Week 1 roster. So it's a long way. It's a long way until week 1.
But you got to get it. Someone's got to want him.
Yeah. Maybe. We'll see.
So this is the thing here. They'd have to draft a quarterback or sign a cheap quarterback. Like I think they could see McKee becoming the 2, but they're going to keep 3 on the roster. So
I mean, it could be like
what kind of pick
Reed Sinnott, like
I'm saying what kind of pick are you getting for Pickett?
Right.
I think they would much rather just hold Pickett in that case.
But do you think that if they bring them back again, they'll stick to Pickett being the 2? Like,
I don't think you
like
can.
At some point you got to elevate McKee.
Right.
I agree. I probably should have had this as more likely to be traded, but
I don't know.
I don't think they'll trade him for a bucket of nickels, but I think that you could probably trade him for like a 5th-round pick, a 6th-round pick, and
I think they would do that.
Yeah,
I think they would do that.
Okay. Next up, the second of the restricted free, and that is Isaiah Rodgers, who this is a good back-to-back because following this is Darius Slay, and these two are probably pretty closely related. How do you guys view Isaiah Rodgers given the RFA status?
No, you go first.
To me, like with the RFA status, the fact that anytime he was on the field this year, I thought he did a nice job. To me, this would be a really slam dunk signing for another team to come in and you probably buy low on Isaiah Rodgers. I think it makes all the sense in the world for the Eagles to bring Rodgers back. I have him at 4.
I have the same number. I have him 4.
Really?
Yeah.
I also have him at 4.
A
clean sweep for Isaiah Rodgers.
4.
I think this is one where
I
think this is one where the Eagles give him a chance to compete for the starting cornerback job on the outside here with Keely Ringo, and that probably gives away what I'm saying for that.
Interesting. Yeah, I think if they were to do the right of first refusal tender, which is make like $3 million or whatever, if they move on from Slay, you've got Rodgers, Ringo, DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, and you're paying them a combined like $4 million, $5 million. Like that's pretty great.
Yeah.
So I think they can afford to go a little bit over what the number for Rodgers would be given that. That means you don't think Darius Slay is coming back.
I don't think Darius Slay is coming back. I have Slay at 17.
Wow.
And there's no guaranteed money on his deal this year. I understand people talk about cap hits. The one thing I don't want to like educate you on the cap. I'm not saying I'm a know-it-all here. The Eagles account for cap hits in their accounting, basically. Cash is much different. So when you look at no guaranteed money, they'll absorb cap hits. They just kind of they know that's coming. Cash is much different. So when there's no guaranteed money, that's usually a sign that they're willing to take it on.
I've also seen some reports that I think Slay and Josh Sweat, where like if they extend them, it saves them cap space. My understanding is that's just incorrect.
Yes, it's correct.
That is inaccurate.
Yeah, and I think people look at that because of void years and things like that. But Slay is pretty honest. He wants to play one more year. He doesn't know if that's going to be in Philly. Perhaps the Eagles give him a restructured deal. I think Slay's won his Super Bowl. He's going to get his bag to play somewhere else. And I don't think that place is Philly.
Fran?
I ended up, so I had him lower on the list as less likely to come back. And I just, as I thought about it more, I just bumped him up a little bit. I have him at 13. And the way I look at it is, I feel like the conversation I had with somebody was like, I feel like we've had this conversation before with Slay. Like, are we expecting this is probably it?
Yeah.
And then he's coming back. I feel like one more year probably in Philly is definitely something that is on the table. I didn't feel great about it. That's why he's on the other side of the Mekhi Becton ledger for me. So I kept him at 13.
Yeah, I have him probably too high. I have him at 7. I also don't expect that he's going to be back, but I do think like there are guys who they would take back if the right circumstances landed, right? And let's say that Isaiah Rodgers gets an offer to start somewhere else and they don't want to match that. Is Slay willing to come back for, $9 million or something like that for his one final road? They know what they're getting. He knows what he's getting here. It's possible.
I think too his development off the field as a leader is not something that we should forget about too. I think that's something that is definitely important to continue to have in that defensive room.
I think Howie is gonna remind himself a number of times this offseason, don't be emotional, don't be emotional, don't be emotional. And I think that it's easy to fall into what they did 2 years ago where like, well, this price is better than we thought. That happened with Bradbury. That happened with Slay.
Right.
And I think they'd be less inclined to be like, well, this price is better than we thought. I think they would kind of go with the strategic plan.
I think this is one where they're entering the offseason not expecting him to come back, but there are circumstances where he would come back. Yep. All right, we have 3 more to go. Before we do that, let's tell you about the new merch available on the ALLCITY store. Look good, play good. Oh, St. Patty's Day is coming up at ALLCITY. Get that Kelly Green ALLCITY shirt. Okay. Josh Sweat. I guess the question here is if Zach gets an expensive enough book offer to cover to write about the Super Bowl champions, will you make enough of that book to be able to sign Josh Sweat to just be yours all alone?
No, Josh Sweat's gonna get paid on the market. So no. Josh Sweat is gonna get a big deal. And
with the Bermans?
Not with the Bermans, no.
How big do you think it'll be?
I think 15, 16 million. He changed agents for a reason.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think he said this is the biggest moment of his life, becoming a free agent. He has never been on the open market before. He signed a contract extension with the Eagles. The way he played in the Super Bowl, I think.
Career high in sacks in the Super Bowl, right before free agency. What could be better than that?
And I think that look, if Arizona doesn't bring in Hassan Reddick, I think Hassan Reddick would like to go to Arizona. But if Arizona does not bring in Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat would make a lot of sense playing for Jonathan Gannon.
Okay. So what number do you have?
18.
I also have 18.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
What do you have?
I have him at 23.
Yeah.
I just feel like
I think you're probably right. I guess it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. But
if they let's say they lose Baun and Milton Williams, then they can they could afford to maybe pay Sweat if the knee, they know more about the knee than everybody else.
Right.
The league is a little bit reticent about the knee. I know you have made the point, Zach. It's unfair to keep bringing up the knee given that he doesn't miss time.
Yep.
Yeah.
But his snaps are always monitored because of that. It's a real thing.
Yeah, I also think Josh Sweat probably looks at this like the Eagles had their chance last year. They made him play on a pay cut. Yeah. And they paid Bryce Huff $17 million in a year, and Bryce Huff was inactive for the Super Bowl.
Totally.
Like I think Josh Sweat's like Philly, I gave you everything I had. I'm getting paid.
Yeah, I think I without knowing it, I would guess that of the 24 players on this list, Josh Sweat is the least likely to want to come back.
The most motivated to leave. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I think that's right. I think 23 is probably closer to correct. All right, next up, CJ Uzomah, our penultimate player here, ran into Deniz at where was it?
The airport.
No, not the airport. The Macy's.
The Wanamaker's
The
building.
Wanamaker's building. That's right.
And famously castigated for his blocking by you.
I don't know if that's what he's best known for, but yeah, I went back and forth.
This is a tough one because I mean,
see this being an August signing.
Yeah, I mean, they're certainly not bringing him back in April, but
you can see
if they need a tight end for a week of training camp in August
or a November signing. I ended up putting it at 19, and I feel like it's too low. I should have had him switch with like Nick Gates or something.
I know. I got him at 21.
Yeah, I have 19.
What about you, Zach?
I was looking at my mic'd up notes because there was a CJ Uzomah note in my mic'd up notes. Can't find it. 21 I had for CJ Uzomah.
You and I. A lot of overlap.
EJ Smith's going to be upset. EJ Smith, big CJ Uzomah fan. Like, as said someone to cover.
Okay. Important to know because I believe actually EJ Smith can cover CJ Uzomah at this point.
Fair enough.
All right, we close it out with another big one. Milton Williams. Is Milty leaving?
Yes.
I believe that we've talked about Howie Roseman has made the point that he has avoided in-season extensions over the past couple of years because he doesn't want to create a situation in the locker room where people are jealous of other people getting in-season extensions. Not that they should have done it in season, but I do believe that if Howie had a regret about not signing someone over the past couple of years to an extension, it would be Milton Williams like 2 years ago.
You're right. This is what. So I have Milton Williams at 16. Milton Williams is going to get paid. Capital P, capital A, capital I, capital D. Did I use that construction?
I think so.
Okay, you're supposed to spell out. You're supposed to spell it all out in caps.
Milton Williams is going to get paid.
Yes. So this
Good
is
job backing away from the mic.
This is one of those situations where, again, I don't mean to criticize some of the projections, but I see some of these online projections and I say, am I missing something here? Draymond.
What are these online projections? What are they?
Like certain websites project what.
Right, but what numbers?
Oh, I saw like 11, 12 million.
Yeah, it's going to be way more than that.
Milton Williams. Well, so the comp I would use is Draymond Jones. Similar build, similar career profile. Yeah. Draymond Jones got $17 million a year by the Seahawks 2 years ago. Okay, I think that's the floor for Milton Williams. Is Draymond Jones' contract?
A great comp.
3 years, $51 million. I believe it was. I think that's the floor. Milton Williams. It wouldn't surprise me if he is at or near the highest paid players in the free agent market this year. When you look at the age profile, you look at the position he plays. He's scheme versatile, so there's not a team in the league who he wouldn't fit for. A team like the Patriots would make a lot of sense for him. I wouldn't surprise me if this is $20 million, but I don't anticipate back with the Eagles.
So McNeil got paid $24.5 by Detroit last year or this offseason.
Wow, what a perfect comp.
To stay. Christian Wilkins got $27.5 by the Raiders last year on the open market, highest paid defensive lineman last year. I don't think Milton's going to reach up to that, but I agree, Zach. I could definitely see a path where he's north of 20, and I just think that's priced out for the Eagles at that point. So I have him at 20. For that reason, I think in a vacuum, he is the type of player that Howie would love to be able to keep, but I think that Milton and his camp are motivated to hit the open market and make every penny.
Now, let me ask you, how do you think that some people said that maybe we should have had Jordan Davis on this as a possible trade candidate? How do you think the Eagles' view of Jordan Davis changes their potential willingness to pay for Milton Williams?
Good question.
I honestly don't. They play the same position, but they don't play the same position.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think that they serve such different roles that while yes, like from a number standpoint at defensive tackle, they impact each other. I don't think that I would have Jordan Davis very up high on this list as like he's back on the roster.
But the Eagles also have to make a decision this offseason on his
Sure.
fifth-year option.
I don't think they will pick up the fifth-year option.
I agree.
Right.
I don't think they pick up the option.
So I think he'll play on a contract year, but I think he serves a role. I think they like his development. I mean, if a team if a team gives you something material to trade for him, I don't think the Eagles will say no because he hasn't really developed as a pass rusher. But I think he is a valuable part of their team. And as much as I know you could sign a nose tackle, but look, the Eagles were real good against the run this year. Jordan Davis was a big part of that.
Yeah, I sort of this is one where all the benefits of the Georgia boys together, does that complicate these decisions? Like you can be a little bit less cutthroat with the Jordan Davis than you might want to be because, if you were to just cast him aside and trade him, how does Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith, those guys feel about it? I don't think that's moving the needle for whether they will or won't do something, but it's a consideration that they have to have.
Yeah, I think they want everyone to get paid at this point, those guys. It wouldn't surprise me if in March 2026, Jalen Carter becomes the highest paid defensive player in football. I think that's one of those, the day the Eagles can't resign him, they will.
March 5th, 2026.
Well, I don't think they're eligible to do that until
27.
Yeah,
right.
until the start of the league year, right?
Yeah, sure.
So,
true. Yeah, right.
But yeah, so the start of the league year 26, I think.
Adam Lefkoe's birthday.
Shout out to Adam Lefkoe. Did a great job with the All-Star.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah, Adam's the man. But yeah, Jordan Davis, if they get something good for him in the trade market, I think they would trade him. I just don't think they would do it.
Adam Lefkoe, born on January 27th.
Yeah.
How about Andy McCullough?
His birthday?
Yeah.
I have to look at my calendar, honestly. I don't remember, so, yeah.
All right. We're done with Flu World Order. We've ranked them. We've ordered them. We've flown them.
Are there any other trade candidates?
You tell me.
What do you think, Fran?
Beck?
While you look up trade candidates, I'll run through the orders real quick.
Go for it.
Okay. Bo Wulf, Tanner McKee, Rick Lovato, Dallas Goedert, Isaiah Rodgers, Bryce Huff, Zack Baun, Darius Slay, Kenny Pickett, Oren Burks, Brandon Graham, Fred Johnson, Britton Covey, Jack Driscoll, Kenny Gainwell, Milton Williams, Nick Gates, Paris Campbell, Josh Sweat, Avonte Maddox, Ian Book, TJ Uzama, Mekhi Becton, LaRaven Clark, James Bradbury. I don't think this is the best to do it, but I've already started. Fran Duffy in order. Rick Lovato, Britton Covey, Tanner McKee, Isaiah Rodgers, Dallas Goedert, Fred Johnson, Zack Baun, Oren Burks, Paris Campbell, Brandon Graham, Mekhi Becton, Darius Slay, Avonte Maddox, Ian Book, Kenny Gainwell, Nick Gates, Kenny Pickett, Jack Driscoll, CJ Uzama, Milton Williams, LaRaven Clark, Bryce Huff, Josh Sweat, James Bradbury. I feel like for me, Becton, for Bryce Huff, those will be big needle movers for us. And then finally, Zach, Tanner McKee, Rick Lovato, Zack Baun, Isaiah Rodgers, Britton Covey, Brandon Graham, Kenny Pickett, Dallas Goedert, Oren Burks, Jack Driscoll, Kenny Gainwell, Fred Johnson, Avonte Maddox, Mekhi Becton, Bryce Huff, Paris Campbell, Milton Williams, Darius Slay, Josh Sweat, Nick Gates, CJ Uzama, LaRaven Clark, James Bradbury, Ian Book.
So for trade candidates, if they were to re-sign Mekhi Becton, I could see maybe Tyler Steve be floated out there. And then if the Eagles gave Reed Blankenship an extension, maybe Sidney Brown gets floated out there.
I was wondering about Brown. That was the only name where I kind of thought about it, but yeah, I still think because he'd be one injury away.
Yeah.
From Lewis and McCollum.
What about Keely Ringo?
If they bring back Slay and Rodgers, then yes. But
he's so
I don't think
young
they want to
still.
trade Keely. I think they like Keely Ringo.
Yeah.
I don't think they want to trade him. But
I loved the nugget from that you brought yesterday. Was it yesterday show?
Yeah, how
about
vivid his memory was.
Yeah, about his memory.
It was really interesting.
That was cool.
Yeah. Julia, do you remember? Julia, that was like Julia's takeaway, right? Remember when we did the exercise, remembering all the games? How Keely Ringo had like very specific memory for every game. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
And then the other guy I just want to ask you is Jake Elliott definitely back?
Yeah, maybe we should have had him on here. I think his contract is such that he's definitely back.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, there's no cap savings in having him back. Do they bring in a kicker as competition?
Maybe.
I mean, he has $2.9 million guaranteed on his salary on his contract next year, so I expect him to be back. But look, he finished real strong.
Yeah, my gut says no because of how he finished. I think you just kind of ride that momentum.
Yeah, possible.
Yeah,
but I don't know. All right. Any final thoughts?
This was fun. I enjoyed this game.
Yeah. You guys watch the Saturday Night Live thing on Sunday night?
Not yet.
I did not.
I saw
Zach
Adam
was watching Bowling
Sandler's.
Green.
I saw Adam Sandler's song. I like that.
Made me cry.
Made you cry? That's nice.
Yeah.
Adam Sandler's music has brought a tear to my eye before.
Back-to-back nights. Cried during the Sandler song. And then last night, we watched the movie My Old Ass.
Oh.
Is that mild or my old?
My Old Ass.
Oh, got it.
Made me cry as well. Very easy. Maybe I'll try to go for another one tonight, see if I can go 7 in a row.
Adam Sandler's song about Chris Farley.
Mm-hmm.
That's. Have you heard that song?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he talks about Chris Farley sitting there listening to the song and he's thinking about his dad. That part I find touching.
Francis got me last night. Yeah. It was a good one.
Francis got you?
Yeah, it made me tear up yesterday.
Yeah.
With
You
what?
want to tell us?
Yeah, we were laying. I was putting him to bed, and he did "You're the best daddy in the world. I have the best parents in the world." It was one of those. And I was like, "Yeah,
Pretty good.
it's pretty good."
What's better than that?
Yeah.
But Kill a Cow's going to get one day, maybe.
That's right.
All right. Hopefully we made you cry today. I don't know how.
I want to grow old with you. That too.
Julia's favorite song, right?
Yes. Is she crying?
Julia, we did make somebody cry. Julia, you're the best. Julia, you're the best producer in the world. We got the best producers in the world. All right, that'll do it for this episode of the PHLY Eagles podcast. Back tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, 2 o'clock. Honestly, I don't know who's going to be hosting any of those shows. We're still trying to figure it out. But we'll be here.
Me and
we'll have
Zach on
something to talk
Friday.
about.
Yeah. I'm sorry to tell you, Bo. There might be a mailbag on Friday.
Yeah, great. One episode, you got to run. All out of ideas.
I think it's a great idea.
Yes.
I think we'll do a mailbag.
What if I
Some
pip
fun.
you when Amy and I do a mailbag tomorrow? Really come out from underneath you.
Well, the great thing about mailbags is you can keep going back
great.
to that well.
Yeah,
There's so many new questions.
No ideas. No ideas on your own. All right. That'll do it. We will talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for watching and listening. Flu World Order in the books. And congratulations once again to Bo Wulf for not only his Swooper Sorecasting Championship, but also 3 in a row in Flu World Order. Who can be better than that?
Yeah, congrats.
Nobody. Dinkelberg with a super chat just in under the gun. I want to grow old with you, Zach.
Thank you. That's nice.
Well,
I'm spoken for.
good news is Zach's going to live the longest of the 3 of us. So you're choosing the right one.
I don't know, but
Neither do I.
Yes.
Given those sleep habits, but that's
Yeah.
all right. That'll do it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you later. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.